Alrighty, well, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you came here from my birth story. Um, Today I'm going to be talking about my infertility journey, and so let's get into it. So, early in 2022, I found out I had PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It just means that in your ovary there's a bunch of cysts, and they're all immature, and usually when you menstruate, one becomes mature, becomes an egg that can get fertilized, and then you can get pregnant, and so it makes it a lot harder to get pregnant. I know it's a very common diagnosis nowadays, but I just figured I would explain it a little bit. When I got diagnosed, unfortunately, I was told that my only hope of getting pregnant would be losing weight. Mind you, I'm 5'7", and at that point I weighed 180 pounds. So I was only carrying 20 to 30 extra pounds than what is normal for people my height. And so from that point, I was referred to an OBGYN who looked at my scans and confirmed that I had PCOS and gave me a prescription for progesterone. Now, it was the pill progesterone, not the shot. This was to jumpstart my menstrual cycle if it didn't come naturally. I was told before I left the clinic, if you're not pregnant in 6 months, come back to us and we'll get you pregnant. We've had a lot of success getting people with PCOS pregnant. I went and picked up my prescription. I went home. And when it was my time of the month, I wasn't bleeding, and so I took the prescription as directed. And I continued this for 2 to 3 months, but something just felt off to me about doing it this way. And I have no hate for any women that go this route. It just wasn't right for me. So I stopped taking the pills and I kind of just handed it to the Lord. But I still was trying to hold on to some control. But one Sunday after church, I was laying around just feeling sorry for myself. And so I let my dogs out to run in the backyard. And I sat on the porch and I just cried because I didn't know what else to do. And it just, it was coming from the heart that I was just crying. And so while I was crying, I asked the Lord, why? And I told him that I need to let go of what little control I still have and just give it all to him and let him take care of it and guide me on guide me on what I'm supposed to do. And just at that moment, multiple monarch butterflies flew out of my pear tree and across my yard. And now I know butterflies are a symbolism of change and how beautiful change can be. And I thought right then and there that that was my sign from God telling me things were going to be okay. And that I was about to see a big change. They just didn't change the way that I envisioned them. So a couple months had passed, and I found myself wanting to make butter from scratch for the Thanksgiving potatoes that we were tasked to make. This led me to find a wonderful homemaker's YouTube channel and podcast. I then binged her podcast, and began implementing cooking almost all of our meals from scratch. I mean, no one's perfect. We still had a frozen pizza every now and then, or went and got a pizza from somewhere, or ate out. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm gonna still indulge on some of those things every now and then. But then I also started my own starter, in which I killed when we went to Hawaii in 2023. So that was fun. Anyway, from that Homemakers podcast, I was led to another podcast that was two women talking about how they overcame their infertility issues with using the ingredients that God gave us. And so I started listening to their podcast. And wouldn't you know it, I found another person's podcast. She is a registered dietitian that focuses on helping women get their periods back. And she's had great success with herself and I believe a few of her other clients. And so I started listening to her and implementing stuff from her as well. And I will link these podcasts in the description below, as I'm not affiliated with them. So I don't know if I can necessarily say their names here, but I will definitely link them so that if anyone else wants to know about them, that you can have access to their information. Now, these four women gave me so much hope, and I began to implement the little things like taking a liver supplement, drinking an adrenal cocktail every day, along with cooking from scratch and restarting my sourdough journey in January of 2023. So in March of 2023, I had a full-blown breakdown while we were running electrical work in one of our bedrooms upstairs. And I just sat on a bucket and in a demolished room, bawling my eyes out that I wasn't pregnant yet. And thank goodness for my husband's level head. He reminded me that God's timing is perfect. And if it is his will, we will get pregnant. Just in the perfect time and the time that our baby is meant to be in this world. And thankfully, this did bring me off of my ledge. Because little did I know, 3 months later, the Lord opened my womb and allowed a follicle to become mature and implant. He also allowed me to have a beautiful, healthy pregnancy. Yes, I did have morning sickness and an aversion to eggs in the first trimester, and horrible heartburn in the third trimester. But overall, it was a healthy pregnancy. I didn't have any gestational diabetes. I didn't have preeclampsia. I had a little bit elevated blood pressure towards the end. But overall, it was a good pregnancy. So I planned on using a birth center since I didn't have the best experience with conventional Western medicine when I got my PCOS diagnosis. But there was another path that I was going to take And if you haven't heard about it, you can click the link in the description below and watch my birth story if you would like to listen to it. And how instead of going with the birth center, we went with the hospital. But I didn't see it until I was in postpartum. But I was blessed. I was blessed with the beautiful arrival of my baby in the same month, a year later, that I had had my breakdown. And I believe that was a little bit of a head nod from God of, you see, this time last year you thought things were hopeless. And now you are so hope filled because you have a beautiful life that you get to raise and you get to show the world what I'm capable of. And it just felt beautiful. So, yeah, that is my positive infertility story with my firstborn. And I know that I could possibly have some infertility issues with my second. And so we'll be continuing with our adrenal cocktail. Um, I can make a video with my adrenal cocktail. Actually, I might just do that. You know what? I'm going to make a video with my adrenal cocktail that tastes like Hawaii in a cup for me. Uh, so, yeah. If you enjoyed this, please like the video and subscribe if you want to follow along with our crazy adventures of just going through life. My goal for this video was that I can give someone hope that God's timing is perfect and that you can trust Him no matter what. And if you don't have trust in Him, if you don't know the Lord, I implore you, go read the gospel, find out who Jesus was, and understand what the Lord has planned for all of us. And that is true salvation in His Son. And I just hope that you will look into it. And if you have criticism for my Christianity, go ahead. But I love God, I love Jesus, and He's gotten me through some pretty tough times in my life, and I trust that. So I thank you very much for taking the time out to watch this video, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thanks.